Eliptosonics is a rather complex atonal piano work, and so I feel a few words of explanation may help. The piece can be divided into three principal sections. Each section can be subdivided into three statements, each statement into three primer segments, each segment into three phrases, and finally, each phrase into three very important chordal motifs, highly significant, in fact. Now, this may sound like oversimplification and an obvious compositional procedure, but the varieties and complexities of perambulators within this clear-cut styroform are really very surprising. For example, as I mentioned, the basic motivating gesture of the whole thing is a set of three chords. Octagonal chords, each with its answering quadruple chord, based on an old pentaad scale. Here they are in the raw, so to speak. During the first section, these chords undergo an incredible metamorphosis. Even by the end of the second statement of the first section, they sound like this. And they don't stop there. In the third phrase of the second statement, they sound like this. And so on until they become virtually unrecognizable. But consciously or unconsciously, the ratio of these same chords to each segment is invariable, bearing in mind that the ratio of one segment to another is denoted by the fraction of which the first is the numerator and the second is the denominator. Then, without warning, these chords, unattended, enter the time-space of the second section, centered within themselves, self-perpetuating, unimpeded by service to any abstraction, their 360 degrees of circumference free for a lively play of interpenetration. By the middle of this chord, by the middle of this section, in fact, in the first phrase of the second of the three statements, a vast new world appears, a kind of sectionalized decategorization. It's as if the same three pregnant chords have finally given birth, exploding into an infinite number of almost indistinguishable forms, chosen at the player's discretion and played indiscriminately with the mood of the moment, as it were, using any order of pitches, any dynamics, any rhythm, any number of repetitions, playing anywhere, in, on, or around the piano, as long as everything is completely spontaneous and there's no similarity between anything, thus resulting in an expressive, albeit haphazard, combination of pianistic Sprechstimme and Klangfarbe Melodien. Obviously, then, value judgments are not in the nature of this section, as regards either composition, performance, or listening. The idea of relation now being absent, anything may happen. A mistake, then, is beside the point, because once anything happens, it authentically is. Just before the chordal motif, in the first segment of the second phrase of the third statement, an intensity, at first imperceptible, begins to formalize the extemporaneous nature of the section. The third and final section begins exactly halfway up an accelerated scale passage. admittedly a little hard to catch on first hearing. But after the no-holes-barred, free and indeterminate nature of the second section, the incredible contrasts of this, agonizing in its intensity and in its totally ordered compositional technique, will be quickly and gradually audible. The diversity of procedures within this straitjacket technique is absolutely astonishing. Things can be forward or reversed, inverted, adverted, accelerated, retarded, piano-forteed, mirror-crabbed, abbreviated, prolongated, dislocated, and exasperated as long as nothing occurs twice, thereby ensuring that everything and everyone remains completely disoriented. Meanwhile, hypertension is accumulating sequentially in the primary segments by compulsive and systematic imbrication. Combinations of 33 non-duplicative linear segments and 63 vertical groupies burst from their various unsealed envelopes of sound. Of course, the motivic drive of the whole section is attributable to the transpositional equivalence of the pitch sets. Transpositional equivalence, as pertaining to this piece anyway, can be roughly defined as the relationships of two pitch sets by the operation of transposition such that the two sets are reducible to the same prime form. Naturally, there are several lengthy Z-related pairs, that is to say, pairs of sets with the same interval vector, but these are not reducible to the same prime form. These have a rather timeless quality, but they don't disturb the continual tension flow towards the final and absolute culmination. Agglomerations of deafening sound race back and forth from the highest extreme to the lowest, becoming smothered by its own non-articulation to the final hypoblast of savage and brutal finality, the last chord of which is not actually sounded, but merely gestured as an indication of final and absolute vacuity.